How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and we have some breaking news, very shocking news. This video may go up Sunday or Monday, not really too sure, but Andrew Luck retired at the age of 29 years old. He is one of the more notable players in NFL history to retire before the age of 30. Of course, other guys like Patrick Willis, he did retire at 30 exactly. But it's rare to see a guy as good as Andrew Luck retire before the age of 30. Now, he did have this injury that was diagnosed as a calf injury, and then it turned into an ankle injury, and then it turned into a different type of leg injury. Very bizarre injury. I don't know if he had Kevin Durant's doctors or not, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm actually being serious because we've already seen one star player who got misdiagnosed, and he's gonna miss the whole season in Kevin Durant for the Brooklyn Nets, in basketball. But for Andrew Luck, this was more than the injury. He did make a few quotes talking about his mental status, mental health. And we know over the last few years it has been, made into like a big deal. It's been like a big topic that a lot of people, talk about. And for some people it's a little touchy. For others, it's just something that they're totally comfortable with talking about. It's something that's real. And it does affect people. And even a guy like Andrew Luck, who a lot of people consider him to be a very good quarterback, including myself. Me personally, though, I never considered him to be an elite quarterback. Now, he has elite talent, but he just never really had the resume to be an elite quarterback. Now, he did win, I think, comeback player of the year. He did come back from a weird shoulder injury or something. And last season, he was top 3 in MVP voting, outside of Drew Brees and the eventual winner, Patrick Mahomes. It was pretty easy to have Andrew Luck's name in there. I mean, he had an incredible season. This was a team that USA Today had going 4-12, and they end up going 10-6, winning 9 out of their last 10 games. Just completely doing something remarkable, on their season. And they end up winning a playoff game. But looking at Andrew Luck and his career and all that, I know some people are asking, is he a bust because he was a first rounder, number 1 overall pick, and he didn't even play until he was 30 years old. I don't know if that's a real narrative. I don't know if that should exist. At least he was able to accomplish some things before retirement. At least, in 2014, he led the league in touchdown passes. Of course, comeback player of the year, number 1 overall pick. He was a generational talent, according to a lot of people. A lot of people at that time were saying that this is the best quarterback prospect since John Elway. He had real hype and real expectations. And it's sad to see just another player who retired young. But in my opinion, Andrew Luck did the right thing. Look after yourself first. At the end of the day, you've made a lot of money. You've played well enough to at least leave an impression on the NFL world. And to me, he did the right thing. I would have never have expected him to retire, but he did retire. You know what I'm saying? He retired before 30. I thought he would retire early, but my definition of early was 34 or 35 years old, not 29 years old, entering a big season where you have expectations placed on you. And I don't want the narrative to be that Andrew Luck quit on his team, because this was a decision that he apparently had in mind for over 2 weeks. Ian Rappaport tweeted out saying that this was a decision that he's had for 2 weeks, and it's something that the Colts were aware of, that this could be something that he ends up deciding on. He has a lot of interest, wants to travel the world, wants to spend a lot more time with his family and stuff. And I get it. He's had a lot of nagging injuries. He's had a shoulder injury that's taken him out for a season, a lot of different nagging leg injuries as well. So this is a guy who he's had a lot of nagging injuries, very talented quarterback, borderline elite category in my opinion. I know some would consider him elite. That's cool, but you hate to see it, man. Another great quarterback who, won't be playing next year and won't be playing ever again unless he pulls a Brett Favre and comes back to football, which I'm not necessarily going to rule out. I'm also not going to be crazy enough to predict something like that to happen because, it is what it is. Unfortunately, though, you do have those Colts fans who are being pretty disrespectful about the situation. You have some people saying that it was very selfish and that, it came so abrupt. Well, it may have, become abrupt to you like it did for everyone else, but the organization basically knew for 2 weeks that that could be a possibility, and they were doing a lot of cover-ups, and Chris Ballard was doing his best to cover up that reality that, yeah, you could see him retire, or you could see him not play week 1. That's why he was saying he was unsure, and that's why you heard all those statements about his injury. And it's unfortunate. The truth will definitely come out within the next few days, but it definitely sucks to see one of the better quarterbacks in our league being taken out due to injury. And it's got to suck for a lot of different fans and football aficionados. I mean, I know it sucks for Colts fans. It definitely sucks for fantasy owners of Andrew Luck. Yes, I am, shouting out fantasy football there. And for people who made bets in Las Vegas, people who probably bet it on Andrew Luck to win the MVP, people who probably bet it on probably bet it on the Colts to win the AFC South. Probably people who even bet it on the Indianapolis Colts to win the Super Bowl, nonetheless get there. So a huge loss today for a lot of different people, and a lot of different people being affected by the news of the Indianapolis Colts. It's just insane. And now we're going to talk about from the organization's standpoint, like what's next for the Indianapolis Colts? What's their trajectory? What do they do from here? Well, they do have a nice veteran backup in Jacoby Brissett, who statistically wasn't bad the year that he started for the Colts, but the Colts just couldn't win games. Now, the organization, the team, the structure, it's a lot different. You got Chris Ballard in there, a much smarter general manager, Frank Reich, who seems to have, good intel for what this team wants to do. The personnel's different, and whatnot as well, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It's changed a lot over the last few years. I'm not saying that they'll be good, but I'm saying is, obviously there's going to be regression. Okay, Andrew Luck is a totally different beast from Jacoby Brissett, who's like a bridge-level starter, really good A-quality backup, like A-plus quality backup. But, like he's a good enough game manager, but he's not Andrew Luck. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, not having him will decrease this team's chances of being good. And that's a real possibility and a real probability. So Jacoby Brissett stepping in there, yeah, this team's definitely going to regress. They're probably going to win 6 games instead of 10 or 11. I still respect the Colts enough to win that many games or whatever, 6. It could be 5 or 4, who knows. But this is definitely a team who will be looking in the quarterback market. Now, will they draft a guy? Will they maybe bring in a younger quarterback who they feel like they can develop, like what we saw the Miami Dolphins do with Josh Rosen? Maybe they do that with, maybe like a guy like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw names out there, like Nick Mullins, maybe Deshaun Kaiser. Maybe they just decide to do that with one of those younger guys. Or they could definitely, just not perform well and, I'm not going to say tank for Tua or tank for Trevor, but maybe they bring in a guy, obviously that they like, and if it's one of those two quarterbacks, then okay, then you've done good. But I'm not going to sit here and say that that's probably their memo. I'm pretty sure they just want to get through the season and, see what Brissett can do. And I'm all for it because I think Jacoby Brissett's a good enough game manager. He's not going to win you the game, but he won't lose you the game either. So, like, he's pretty good in that regard. Low turnover guy. But We'll see, man. It's definitely going to be tough for the Colts. Definitely tough times for the Indianapolis Colts. Couldn't have happened at a worser time. Andrew Luck was on the sideline, and he got booed as the game ended. I mean, what douchebags the Colts fans really are. I mean, I get the frustration. Your season literally ended before it could start. But come on, man. Andrew Luck is doing what's best for Andrew Luck. And I feel like if you're a fan of the Colts, and if you're a fan of Andrew Luck and you think he's elite or whatever, I feel like you should be defending him. You should understand where he's coming from. You got to protect your own investment, which is yourself, your temple, your body. You have to protect yourself. And Andrew Luck, realizing that, went ahead and retired early instead of playing a little bit longer and possibly having a serious injury that would alter his life. And you probably think I'm joking or being dramatic, but I'm pretty sure if you dug in deep, there's examples of people who had an injury history, who played longer than some people anticipated, and they had an injury that changed their life. I'm pretty sure it's out there. You just got to dig deep and do your research. There's not an example that flies off the screen right now for me, but it's out there. That's all you need to know. But this sucks for Colts fans. It definitely sucks if you're a fan of Andrew Luck. I know a lot of people out there really believed the hype of Andrew Luck coming out. I really liked Andrew Luck coming out. This is when I was still watching college football, and I phased out for a little bit. I still watch it now, but there was like a little period of time I wasn't. But this is when I was watching Andrew Luck. The hype was real with Andrew Luck. And he just never... It's not his fault, but he never lived up to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was always a very good quarterback. Like, there are guys in different sports who... yeah, they were really good, but they weren't the best. They weren't top guys. And that's kind of like where Andrew Luck is. He's very good. No one, I think, is going to doubt that, but he was never a top guy. Like, you look in the NBA right now, like, you have, like LeBron, KD, and Kawhi, right? And now you have Paul George, who... he's very good, but no one's ever going to acknowledge that he's the best at his position. So Andrew Luck is kind of like Paul George in terms of his reputation as a quarterback. Like, he plays in an era where you have Patrick Mahomes, who just won the MVP by having a historic season, in an era where Drew Brees is so damn good that he doesn't even have an MVP, in an era where Tom Brady is regarded as the greatest of all time, in an era where Aaron Rodgers, arguably for most people, is the most talented quarterback they've ever seen. I mean, he was playing in an era with Phillip Rivers and Big Ben still being household names coming into the league, and even as he exits today, and he's coming up in a time where the hype is real for guys like Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield. So he just entered an era where, yes, he was very good, but he was never quite the best or one of the 2 or 3 best at his position, if that makes sense, which is very unfortunate. But hopefully you guys enjoy, man. Let me hear your thoughts about Andrew Luck's retirement. Did it come as a surprise to you? And let me know, what do you think is next for the Indianapolis Colts? And, where do they go from here? And maybe just your thoughts of Andrew Luck in general. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, man. And peace out.